What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Urban Discipleship Podcast. Um, we are talking about creatives and the church. What can the church do to support their creative members? What does art and music and even digital media now? Where does that come in the church? We're going to talk about it on the Urban Discipleship Podcast. Welcome.
Urban Discipleship Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Urban Discipleship Podcast. I'm Pastor Rob. We're going to get into talking about creatives today and their place in the church and what can the church do to help them. I got two special guests. This may be the first time for you, but this is not their first time. But I'm going to bring them up. We have our own sister, Shonette Reed, and Caleb. You've seen them on the YouTube channel speaking at Abundant Grace Ministries. So thank you to you guys. We're gonna get into this talking about creatives. I found a nice little piece that talked about why the church and they specifically said artists, why the church needs artists and why artists need the church. I just wanted to use it for a jumping off point for us. We'll look at it a little bit. Um, this is from Together from the for the Gospel. Shout out to them. Um, entitled "Why Do Churches and Artists Need Each Other?" Um, and so we have the transcript here. I just want to. I'm trying to go back and see exactly. Okay, this is Brett McCracken. I'm not sure if somebody might know Brett. Shout out to Brett. He says, I think something that comes to mind is artists play a role in any culture, any society, any community by asking questions that humans ask. I think that's true. They're attuned to existential questions. Artists tend to have a pulse on things that are in the air in society, and it's helpful for churches to be aware of those, pastors to be aware of those. And sometimes artists can be that bridge to the wider world, um, and just the human longings. Art is so much about giving voice to human longing that everyone feels, and churches and pastors really should uh, not be detached from that experience. I thought that was powerful and a good summary of why churches need artists or creatives. I also thought about historically how, if I think about the Black church, creatives have been more, I guess, pigeonholed. We really consume creatives for the musical ability, right? And maybe if you get to a bigger church, there may be some theatrical ability as well. But given digital media, things have blown up, and creatives can really express themselves in so many ways. Um, I'm not only the classical arts of music and playing instruments as well as, but I'm thinking even given the classical arts of painting and art, drawing, and different things. I feel like all of that can play a role in the church. Um, but I guess we'll get into it a little bit more. But Shonette is really our residential creative expert here. Shonette, tell us a little bit about. Are you still working with Resolute Magazine?
I am. So yeah, I started that 2017. Um,
2017. Hold on. Shout out to Resolute Magazine. How do you spell that on Instagram?
um, RESOLUTE_MAGAZIN.
Yes, sir. Shout out to that. Yeah, tell us. Continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I started in 2017. It wasn't originally a Christian magazine, and just part of that is that I saw a lack of coverage for creatives as a whole, specifically non-white creatives. So black creatives, brown creatives, anyone who's not white. And so wanting to take up that space, and like during that time, a lot of other um, magazines and like platforms came to be, which is not why I switched it. I ended up putting it more into the Christian space, because I noticed like as I would reach out to people and I would interview them without knowing it, they were Christians, and I was like, okay, clearly
Wow.
we
Yes.
need this as well. So it's been almost 5 years now, 3 issues in, and just really navigating that between being here, then moving away, working and being in grad school, and then finishing grad school in the pandemic and figuring all of that out.
Yes.
But it was really me seeing a space that we needed
Mhm.
to just like share what it is that we do and how we do it and who we do it for.
Correct. Okay. I want you to share some of your ideas because I'm going to put the link to the article in the description. But what you see in the article is really, I think it's surface level. It's more of like awareness of uh, for churches, for pastors to be aware of creatives in their congregation and how and some people have this talent, have this outlet, and will probably never say anything, right? That could be shared with the church, and they may want to do something, but they don't see it as a traditional way of expressing oneself um, within the church moment, so to say. So I think a lot of talent is probably sitting there untapped and unused. But like I said, when you think about the digital arts and how that has just blown up um, with the photography and the film editing, websites, all of that is now part of what churches do. And I think I always say the talent is there in the pews. You just have to find it. So talk to us a little bit about how churches can support those creatives.
I think one of the things is just being open to different things. I know like a lot of people when they can understand something, they're usually quicker to like attach themselves to it. I guess is the best way to say it. So like, I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a politician, or I want to be a doctor. Like people get that. Um, but you say like, I want to be a web developer, or I want to do digital
Mm,
marketing, or I want to be a photographer or a filmmaker. A lot of people, and granted, there are like a lot of systems that have kept us as Black people out of all of these industries for so long.
true.
But like, a lot of people don't. It's not something that they are quick to like resonate with or like understand or even sympathize with. And so one of the things the church can do is just start to be open to it, and I've seen that happen like over time. But another is just like understand that like, yeah, creatives may start in the church, but we also got to start making money at some point. And like,
So true.
um, it's okay that people move forward. I don't think it's not a bad thing. Like I think even over time we've seen like with just the working industry,
Hmm.
like you can really make a living as a creative now.
Correct.
Whereas before it was a little more difficult um, in figuring that out. So I think those are two of the biggest things is just be open to it and allow space for it, and then just understand that everyone who starts with you ain't gonna stay.
I agree with that. And Caleb, I want to bring you in, but I want to ask Shona, are you saying that when you talk about oh okay, correct me if I'm wrong. When you say that creatives have to be paid too, are you saying churches have to be okay with the movement and migration of creatives, or that churches should be paying their creatives?
Both. I
But
feel like that is like it's a skill that someone is taking the time to learn, and like
yes,
a lot of
yes.
these
Yeah.
things take so much time. Like for me, the main thing that I do is write, and people like I'm like researching these articles, writing these drafts, like it's so much
It's
work and it
work.
takes
It
so much
is.
time. And so like I'm not saying, I know that a lot of churches are small, and a lot of churches you don't have the resources to necessarily pay someone's full salary,
Hmm.
but you can start them there. And I think that also too helps a creative see their value in the working place, because it's just like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm being paid for my work. versus like just doing it and it kind of being treated like it's just this hobby when it's
Right.
something that I'm passionate about and want to see grow and
Right.
flourish.
So I totally agree. I believe, like, as churches, as leaders in ministry, we have to say thank you. I agree. Some of our churches are small, and we don't have the finance or the budget to pay everyone the way they deserve to be paid. However, we can take those moments at the finish of a project, at the end of the year, and say thank you and offer a small gift. Preferably, I like monetary gifts because to me, there puts a substance. There's a substance there. Give them a monetary gift so that way they can go out and do whatever they want to do with it. But I do believe we might not we can't pay you every week, but I do believe there needs to be these moments of culmination where we uh express our gratitude in the form of finances, not just a chicken dinner, all right? Go ahead, Caleb.
I was just thinking about, historically how the Black church has been a place where we've been able to develop our talents and our artistic abilities and put them on display and even branch out into careers for ourselves because of the foundation that we've had in the Black church. And like you said, it's usually, singing, or historically it's been singing and
Hmm.
maybe some theater, music type things. Um, but we're in a new era now, and there's so many other ways that the church can benefit from the artistic ability. And I think that we just need to still give that platform. I think we
Right.
still need to provide that platform. I'm thinking about the next generation. Like, how can we help encourage and cultivate the skills and the talents that God has given our youth in the church, and they can feel encouraged there, so they don't feel like they have to go outside of God's people to
Hmm.
feel appreciated, to feel like they could
Right.
be, they could hone their skills, and they could be encouraged. I think that the church needs to be the place where that happens. I think about my brother. Shout out to Gregory Oliver. You
Hmm.
check him out on Spotify, Apple Music. He drops music, he produces his music, and he's been doing it for a long time. And it
Yes.
started in the church, with
Come
him
on.
being able to get on the program to do one of his
That's right.
songs that he produced, and rap it, to the congregation, instead of the choir singing in one of the selections, So I think
Mm,
that he's been encouraged through the church through the years, and it's just an example of um, um, being the foundation for our youth, as they branch out and
right.
they explore some of those areas that we don't typically encourage our youth to go into, but that could be very lucrative today.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if you go say back 5 years and you ask a bunch of kids what they want to do, you might get some creative responses like music. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about the Black community. I don't know how many people want to be actors or actresses. Definitely a lot of music, and maybe even some art. But you probably the number one answer you would get today is I want to be a YouTuber, right? and and so I know my kids they just can't wait. They can't wait to have their own channel, I've been putting them off and off, off, right? Um,
Same
I mean,
here.
you're right. There's pros and cons, but here. Look, here we are as Abundant Grace here with this podcast. Maybe this is an outlet for them. You know what I'm saying? Not throwing them all the way into it, but there are some skills here that are marketable, or you may have talent in it with the video editing, maybe even broadcasting. Now you can set up on your own little broadcasting thing. So maybe one day Anastasia and Zoe will be on the Discipleship podcast, and they'll be doing their thing. But this is, I think, whether it's large or small, another platform that we have to allow people um, to participate in.
And
So
Rob, like, naturally, in the past it'd be like,
yes.
okay, here's the budget to pay the leadership. the
Hmm.
pastor, and then the very next thing on the list is always like the musician.
The
You
musicians,
gotta
no
pay.
doubt.
You
You
gotta
gotta.
right. That's usually been the next thing, but we might be
Yes.
going into a time where it's like, okay, it may not be the musician, it may be the
Come
video
on.
editor.
Come
You
on.
know,
Come on. You saying
we may be
something
in a
right
time like
there.
that
You
where
saying something.
because art is connected to the culture, right? And
Yes.
in order to reach the culture, we have to use the talents and the gifts that we have within the body.
Man, listen, I really feel like for us going forward into the next year, one of those things would be is building a online community of people who, because of distance, may not be able to connect to um, abundant grace. So, like if one day we have some person, doesn't even have to be young, to be young or whoever, some member who has the talent for running a live stream and for keeping people engaged, man, I'll be happy to turn it over to them and let them do this, especially if they have if they're gifted and talented and can keep people engaged and help grow the online community. I'm like, man, let's go because uh, many of us like the traditional way of having church, but I mean, the digital way it's kind of like it's not going anywhere, right? So either you're gonna do it and and kind of move forward with it, or you're gonna let it pass you by. But cool. You guys, let us know what you think in the comments. What ways can churches support creatives? Does your church support you as a creative? Really, if you have some ideas, let me know in the comments because we need those ideas at Abundant Grace. Okay. I'm gonna let you go. Remind you to do two things: that is, love God and each other.
Urban Discipleship Podcast.
All right. Let's see what we got left.
We got
Oh man, we should have probably started with these two. Okay, okay. So you know what? They're kind of connected. I'm gonna put them into two. If I need to cut them up, we can cut them up. So we're gonna put both of these in here. Um, and you'll feel the flow when I switch from one topic to another. But let's start in the purity culture with the article, which I thought was super interesting. I don't know if you got a chance to read it.
Good.
yeah,
Oh, you know what?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to edit this one too. I forgot to hit the end in the